Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to draft a basic skirt pattern, and this is just a basic skirt with your waist, hip and your knee. So what we need our measurements. We need tape rule, paper, scissors, chalk. Oh sorry, we don't need chalk for this. Sorry. Then marking pens, then the pins. Okay, we don't need pins for this as well. What is up with me? Okay, and then we also need our straight ruler and of course our pattern paper. So let's get right into the tutorial. So as I've said earlier in my previous pattern tutorials, I always like to leave space above, just in case. So I'm going to be leaving 1 inch here and then 1 inch here as well. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our vertical measurements. So what are the vertical measurements? Vertical measurements are like your waist to your hip to your knee, stuff like that. So now that we have that, we're just going to measure our waist to hip. So my waist to my hip is 9 inches. The standard is 8 inches, but I noticed that for myself, my waist to hip is 9 inches. Of course, everybody is different, so always make sure that you take your measurements yourself, so that everything that you're making is going to be tailored to your perfect fit. So if you don't know how to do that, I probably have a video on that if I've uploaded it already, so just go check that out. So for my waist to my hip, and then from my hip to my knee is 17 inches. So I'm just going to mark 17 inches. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go on to our horizontal measurements. So my waist is 27 divided by 4, that is 6.75. Hip 38 divided by 4, that is 9. And what I like to do for the knee most times, especially when it's just like a waist to knee skirt, I like to just remove 2 to 2.5 inches from the hip measurements to get the knee measurement, because I don't know, it's just something that I like to do. It's something that I came up with, and so far it's been working well. So but it depends on you if you want to measure the circumference of your knee. But when you're measuring the circumference of your knee, just make sure that you're measuring like your 2 knees together, and then you're just leaving space in for you to be able to move your legs. But for me now, since it's 9.5, I'm just going to remove 2 inches and make it 7.5. So now that we've already placed our horizontal measurements, we're going to be adding our seam allowance. So we're just going to be adding 0.5 inches for the seam allowance, nothing too crazy. Okay, so for the waist, okay, so now that we're done adding seam allowance for the hip and for the knee, we're going to go to the waist. So for the waist, that is where your waist dart is, right? So we're going to be adding our waist dart now. The first thing you want to do for your waist dart is to get your, I use my bust point to bust point measurement. So my bust point to bust point is 8 inches, and I divide it by 4, and I divide it by 2, and I get 4. So that is what I use for most of my darts, because that's just where the darts of your bust is. So the best thing for you to do is just to apply that to your waist as well, so that if you have like a top and the skirts with darts, it's going to align, right? So now my bust point to bust point is 8 divided by 4. Point to bust point also means your nipple to nipple. So I'm just going to measure from this center front on my waistline. I'm going to measure 4 inches. Okay, yeah. So now for your front basic skirt, for your front panel, the waist the dart is always 10 centimeters. Length of the dart, we're going to do 10 centimeters. Okay, yes. So now what we're going to do is that, so the width of the dart most times is usually one, that is like the basic dart measurements, 1 inch. And it depends on you if you just want half an inch or you want 1.5 inches. It depends on you, but the standard is 1 inch for darts. So you're going to come to this 4 inches that you got. It's going to be different for you, of course. And then you're just going to want to align the point with anyhow, and then you just get 1 inch at the left side and half inch at the left side and half inch at the right side, and then you have your 1 inch dart. So after you're done with that, you're just going to connect. Okay, so now we are not sure that this is aligned. Okay, so we're just going to want to make sure that it is aligned. Okay, it's aligned, so we can draw our waist darts. We can connect the dots. Okay, all right, so that is done. So now most times when you sew darts in, it will usually create this curve, right? So in order to prevent that, we like to come up like half an inch, come up half an inch from this middle point of the dart, and then just connect this. And if you've watched my previous video on how to add, I think, bust darts to a basic bodice, you should already know this technique, because this is good because, you know, when you sew, you don't want to have a gap, and also this is very good for you, especially when you want to know the place you're going to sew, right? So for instance, now I know that when I cut my fabric, I'm going to cut it like this, and I'm going to know that this is the place that I need to put my darts in. Like, it's so good. So when I make a video on how to sew darts perfectly, I'm going to show you in practical terms how to do that and why this is important. If you're going to take away this 1 inch, you want to make sure that you add it to the waist measurement. So now this is the waist measurement divided by 4, right? So we're going to add 1 inch to this. Okay, so this is going to stand for this one that we're going to take in, and also we're going to add our half an inch for seam allowance, and that is it. So now we can connect the dots for our skirt. We're just going to want to just make this like more of like a curve, not like something with sharp edges, because of course our hips are not sharp edges. Okay, yes, they're rounded edges. All right, so now that we're done with this, there is a technique that we usually do when making skirts, is that because you know that the waist, our waist, it's not like just like a straight this thing, like there's a curve, like from starting from our hip, it just curves inwards, right? So what we like to do is that for this one, we're just going to go up, let's just say 1 inch, which is like half an inch here, like almost half an inch. We're just going to go up, right? Do you understand? So now we're going to connect this to this. It should have been like this. Yes, but it's still the same thing anyways. It's just, you know, still the same thing. So for this line now, what we're going to do is that it's going to be a curve. Okay, it's very helpful because it's going to make your waist, it's going to make it sink and sit properly inwards, like into your waist. It's going to just make it have a very perfect fit. So don't miss this while you're drafting your skirt pattern, because it really does make the difference. Yes. So this is for the front panel, right? So okay, so let me cut out the front panel and then we're going to cut out the back panel. Move on to the back panel. So of course most skirts usually have a zip. So after this, we're just going to place this like so and go ahead and trace out my pattern. So like I told you before, let me make this a straight line first. Like I told you before, right, that for the front panel, the length of the dart is 10 inches, but for the back panel, the length and the length of the dart is usually 13 centimeters, not inches, sorry, 13 centimeters. Okay, so we just connect that. Of course, make sure that it is 4 inches. So can you see now? It's not 4 inches. So if I had made this, it's going to affect the dart. So always make sure that you check, make sure that your measurements are accurate before you go ahead and move. So now this is our front panel and our back panel. As you can see, it's so easy to make, and once you have this for life. Like you can use this to make different things. Like it's so amazing, honestly. So I always ensure that I always tell people that they should always have their basics. Once you have your basics, like you don't have a problem, honestly. You can just pick it up and just, if you want to try something, tweak something, it's already there. You just have it, you just have to trace it out and you're good to go. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that if you don't have your basic skirt pattern already, I hope that this video helps you to create yours. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, like, comment that you enjoyed the video or that you tried it yourself, and please also share my videos if you find it helpful and you want to support me. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Bye.